So the official trailer for Westworld Season 3 has released, and this one has so many teasers for the upcoming season to sink in. I mean, many people thought Westworld Season 2 was complicated. Well, this trailer just kind of spun my head around with the amount of things going on, all of which look crazy awesome. And also, that Sweet Child of Mine rendition playing over the trailer, that was awesome. But either way, guys, I'm sure you have seen a trailer. If you haven't, I'll leave the link to that trailer and other trailers down in the description. I would add it to this video, but it would just make it extra long. Plus, we've got a lot to go over as it is. So yeah, make sure you check out the trailer. Come back to this video if you haven't already, so we can break everything down. But let's start right at the beginning of the trailer and get into this. So at the very beginning, we get a very quick glimpse of a host's eye being constructed. Now, this was paired alongside the following scene with Dolores laying on the floor as Aaron Paul's character Caleb is looking over her. But Dolores seems to only have skin applied to her face and upper chest. The rest of her machinery that goes into being a host being exposed. We also see a clip of her putting on the skin for her hands and upper arms as if it's a lengthy glove. So yeah, that's pretty detailed. But there are quite a few shots in this trailer where it looks like Dolores is losing limbs and of course is in a lot of danger, so we might see her need to be reconstructed with Caleb's help. As this trailer, more than any other trailer we've got before this, shows Caleb's willingness to help out Dolores in her host uprising and takeover of the real world. But another thing that this trailer signifies right off the bat is Dolores' motives, with her explaining that the first memories of being born into this world were of pain, and for her kind, there was only one place they were never allowed to go or see, which of course is the real world. But just as we know what this season is about, this trailer advertises more than what we've been teased ever before until now of a completely focused Dolores who is featured in this trailer going around with such conviction about taking the world for herself and all of the hosts. But it seems that she can't quite do that as easily without the help of Aaron Paul's character Caleb. Now, besides how awesome it is that Aaron Paul has got a role in Westworld Season 3, I also just can't wait to see a human character help out Dolores in her mission. Well, that's if he is human and they don't kind of pull a whole, oh, he's really a host kind of thing. I think that's getting a little bit old. But I feel like Season 3 has got such an interesting premise with it. I mean, say what you will about Season 2, each to their own with that opinion, but Season 3 looks absolutely kick-ass given the fact that we are in the real world and it's going to be a very tense season with literally only a handful of hosts trying to take over. If you guys remember, Dolores only brought back 5 control units, or like the host little ball things, but it also gives us the insight of how there are some out there in the human world who are also feeling as though the world is broken. Because as Caleb put it himself in that first trailer almost 9 months ago now, which is just crazy, Caleb said in that trailer that they said they'd make a better world, but that was a lie. And to Caleb's character, he sees the world like they're putting a coat of paint on it, but inside it's rotting to pieces. So even though it seems like we saw Caleb meet Dolores for the first time when she was wounded in that first trailer we got for Season 3, the next part of this trailer gives us a peek at what could only be assumed to be some short time after when they first met, where Caleb is asking who Dolores is. Now, this is where Dolores seemingly has a conversation that will probably bring Caleb over to Dolores' side, with her saying things like, "You and I are a lot alike. They put you in a cage, decided what your life would be." And now lots of people are making Breaking Bad jokes because somehow Dolores knows that he's been in that cage. Spoiler alert for Breaking Bad, but come on. But with the clips playing over these lines from Dolores and Caleb, show Caleb at his job that we've been teased with before, in that he's a construction worker, probably doesn't have the best job, life, or pay. I mean, I think he probably has been downtrodden in society, has suffered misfortune at the hands of maybe the government in some form or another, of which we have been teased with from prior trailers, with him visiting someone in hospital and seemingly meeting a friend in jail. And I think it's safe to say that Caleb, since he isn't a part of the wealthy side of the real world who can afford that ridiculously expensive ticket to a place like Westworld, life for people like Caleb is of a similar quality to the grind of a host. Now, interestingly, Caleb asked Dolores if she's been watching him, and she replies, "Not me, but something has." It's hard to make out exactly what she means by that. I mean, a whole bunch of this trailer is very obscure, but it would be very interesting if Dolores was trying to expose this place, known as Insight, for taking information from the public somehow in a similar fashion attention to how guests in Westworld had their desires and wants and just ultimately their information in their head recorded through things like the Westworld hats that they wore. Now, Insight is a similar data mining scheme, but in the real world, helping humans out with practically anything and everything by knowing everything about the user. Now, this could be the disruption that Dolores is after. Then the clip shows a strange room, which could be a place that Dolores wants to get to and could be the key to her uprising through accessing that maybe and causing some disruption there. But Caleb then asks, who is it we're going after? And Dolores replies, the person who took your future, which then shows Vincent Cassel, who could be tied to Insight, could be the owner, possibly also tied to Caleb's character. We'll just have to wait and see there. However, guys, this is when the trailer introduces Maeve in season 3, where it seems that she's been tasked by this man to kill Dolores. Now, this is who we were just talking about, who is Vincent Cassel, who is reportedly playing a villain. Other than that, we don't really know anything else about this character, which will serve for a very interesting story for season 3, as I think this will be more along the line of that Maeve doesn't necessarily want to kill Dolores, and what Dolores ultimately wants deep down is freedom, but the situation here is that she's willing to kill anything or anyone to achieve that goal for her kind in the real world, which will naturally potentially bring Maeve and Dolores head to head, which we very much so get a tease of later. We also see further clips of Maeve in this Reich world, if you will, which we have seen teased beforehand. Possibly this is linked to her journey to find Vincent Cassel, or possibly even leading her to Dolores. But this is also where we get to see the Man in Black again. Now, even though we don't get to see a lot of him featured in this trailer, I'm just wondering if this is right into the future, since Dolores is saying to him here, welcome to the end of the game. Now, the next time we see William is a bit later in the trailer, which is where he goes even as far as saying that he's going to save the world. Now, does this mean that he too has been tasked to go after Dolores, because presumably Dolores is the threat to the real world? Also, who could he be speaking to here? Could it be the same man who was talking to Maeve? Other scenes of William in the trailer look very rough, as William is going through some major dentist surgery here. I mean, I literally have no idea what these screws are for, but possibly have something to do with accessing the host version of William. I mean, insert your theory down in the comments section. The next part of the trailer just includes a whole bunch of action to the point where it makes Westworld look like a completely different show. Now, I'm not saying that the show hasn't pulled off some incredible action feats before, but given that this is in the new world, all of this just looks vastly different and makes me massively hyped for what is to come this season. Even though we're only getting 8 episodes compared to the usual 10, I'm betting that they're all going to be jam-packed full of action like this. And I like to think of this part of the trailer as just kind of the uprising part. So it looks like we're going to see some future car chasing scenes. We see a new host being created. I'm assuming this is on Dolores' side of the park. It looks like it could be Arnold's old house. We'll just have to wait and see there. We also hear Caleb say in the trailer that he's found his purpose, and then we see him firing grenade launchers out the back of the car, which you can only assume Dolores is driving, so he is fully signed on to the cause at this point. I mean, I'm just wondering if a lot of this season is obviously going to be Dolores conducting her plan to take over, and all while in the scenes like this of pursuit, it could be possibly the men of the man that Maeve was speaking to in that one scene in pursuit of Dolores and Caleb and their team. Now, as for Bernard in the trailer, who seems to have been resuming his life in the real world, but something seems to have gone awry for him in this scene as he's walking away. Now, whatever has happened could be related to what we saw in the previous trailer, where Bernard, dressed in the same outfit, charges this other man, so it's likely that this is related to that. Now, in other scenes down the line in the trailer, we see him talking to Ashley Stubbs, saying that the plan is starting. Now, I'm assuming that they mean Dolores, and they're both reacting to whatever she's now up to, as they knew that she was out there in the real world, but just kind of biding her time to strike. But now she must have done something to the point of where it's obvious that she's striking out, and maybe this kind of explosion is in the building of Insight, which we briefly went over earlier, collecting all the information of the public. And this could be the very beginning stages of her disruption plan. Now, in the previous Comic-Con trailer for Westworld Season 3, it sounded like Ashley, who was asking Bernard why did Dolores bring him back, and we saw footage of him tweaking with his host self and also saying that he came back to find someone strong enough to stop her if it comes to that. Now, here we get to see that Charlotte Hale host, who, as of what we learned, isn't really Charlotte Hale, and we have still yet to learn which kind of host is really inside the kind of skin suit of Charlotte Hale. There are quite a few theories out there with regards to how she could still be Charlotte Hale, but slightly altered in how Bernard, you could say, is an altered version of Arnold. Since Dolores does know Charlotte's profile from Season 2, this could indeed be possible. But I'm just really excited at seeing the Charlotte Hale host in her double role among the humans in the real world who have no idea that they're literally working with a host until they do know, as in this trailer, it does show a bit of both of that, with some of these robots she's been looking at in multiple trailers seem to be fighting for the hosts as well, which is just absolutely insane if the hosts can take control of a majority of machinery in the world. I mean, maybe they only do need 5 real hosts if that's the case. Now, we also have some other obscure scenes in the trailer like this moment, but it's kind of just too hard to tell who it is. I mean, for a moment, it looks like Caleb to the left and maybe someone like Logan in the water to the right. I mean, of course, I'm not saying that is Logan or anything like that, but it's just too hard to make out who Caleb could be saving in this scene here, but I would love to hear your thoughts. And I love this scene where it looks like Dolores is just going ham against these armed men who are after her, with her kind of running up the side of that kind of wall there. But if it wasn't clear enough about how ruthless Dolores is willing to be, if plan A doesn't work with what they're going in this building to do, then they'll just do it the old-fashioned way, by killing everyone. And then Dolores gives that chilling smirk, just showing how dark she is going to be this season. It also seems that whatever Dolores' plan is that it will cause quite a bit of disruption to society and the people who live in the new world. I mean, we've even heard the Charlotte Hale host say herself in the previous trailer that it won't take much to bring it all crashing down. And what do we see here? We see a lot of people rioting, even throwing like Molotovs as kind of spray painted pictures of what looks to be the maze drawing, which is a very interesting detail here. Perhaps through causing all of this chaos at this point in this clip, which could be later down the line in the season, Dolores hopes to achieve a peace, but one of her order, not by those who built up this society beforehand, which creates a lot of miserable people if you aren't wealthy or rich enough to go to Westworld. People like Aaron Paul's character Caleb. It's also just interesting that Dolores and Charlotte Hale will have control over the riot control robots as well. I mean, we briefly spoke about this earlier, but you know, riot here, maybe the riot control robots will get involved. We'll just have to wait and see. But the trailer ends on that same scene where we saw Dolores fighting those men, with Maeve arriving with a katana. Now, I'm sure many fans are going to go absolutely mental for this. It seems that Maeve is ready to take on Dolores, which is just nuts. But I would just love to know if you think that this is a red herring, and maybe Maeve in this moment will actually help Dolores take out the rest of the guards. But then again, that clip I briefly spoke about earlier where it seems that Dolores is losing limbs, that could be a result of Maeve's katana and just sometime later after this scene. So of course guys, I would love to know from everyone who is watching, especially up until this point right now in the video, are you Team Dolores or Team Maeve? I mean, I'm very intrigued to see as well if they make Dolores sympathetic to a degree this season, or are they just really embracing full-on villainy? I mean, of course it does seem that way, but a part of me does miss the more humane side of Dolores that is deep down there, but because of everything that she's kind of endured, she's become this really hard and a rustic exterior to the point of, well, kind of villainy. But I'm just going to be looking forward to those parts potentially coming out this season, even though for Dolores it's likely that there will be few and far between. I would love to know what you thought of everything in this trailer. Just a reminder, everything was quite obscure, so this will mean a lot of theory crafting down in the comments. But let me know if you think I got anything wrong, anything I potentially missed out on, or if you can link anything in the scenes between other scenes in the trailer. Just, yeah, splurge your thoughts down in the comments. Other than that, everyone, go ahead and like this video if you did enjoy enjoy it. It really does help out the Westworld videos. Let me know if you want to see more Westworld as well. But thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you hosts in the next video. Goodbye.